So in this video we're going to have a look at how we can make our Raspberry Pi accessible without knowing its IP address. So if I just type in the command ip addr, I can find out the IP address of my Pi. Now my Pi currently has this IP address of 192.168.0.58. If you don't know about IP addresses already, they are unique individual addresses given to computers. It's how they know which computer is which out there on the web. And your IP can change depending on where you're connected, when you're connected. So the problem is, if we connect our Raspberry Pi without a screen, we've got no way of finding out this IP address. So what we're going to do is we are going to, first of all, I'm just going to use this command, cd, which remember was change directory, and these two symbols, this is called a tidal, and this is called a forward slash, or a tide and a forward slash, and it just takes me back to my home directory, about where I was earlier on. So I'm going to install a piece of software called Avahi. Now, if you remember rightly earlier on, to install software we need to use the sudo command. We use apt-get, we use install, and then we type the name of the software. Now this software is Avahi. Now if I can't remember how to spell it, if I'm connected to the internet I can press the tab key a couple of times. It will show me the options. I want this one, Avahi daemon. So I'm going to say Avahi daemon. Oh, I can't spell. There we are, daemon. And it will say, right, okay, that's the one you want to install. Press enter, off it goes, installs that bit of software. And I'll ask me if I want to continue. Yep. So we'll let that go and do its work. So that took a little longer than I expected there, a few minutes. So I'm just going to clear my screen, so I've got a bit of a clearer space to work with. And I'm going to use this command to add this to the startup sequence. Slightly different to the one we used earlier on. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is, but it's the one that's on the instructions. So we'll go with this. So we're going to do this one here, which is going to say initialize server Avahi daemon on boot. So if we press enter, oh, and I'll spell that correctly, there's double S there, in serve, or ins serve, sorry. There we are, so now that's added that. So Avahi daemon will start on boot. Now we just need to do a little bit of configuration to that. So we're going to use this wget command again, and I've prepared you a configuration script. Let's just try that again. wget. We'll get the URL. There we go. So that's the URL. And this time I'm not going to specify an output file. I'm just going to let it download it as it is. There we go. Now if I just list, it's given this daft file name here, which doesn't really help me out. Now last time we copied the file to a new location and we then deleted it afterwards. This time we're going to try and do that in one step. We're going to do a move. So we're going to use the move command to help us get there in one single step. So I'm going to type in move, and I'm going to type in the name of this file, so it's m2 something. I'm going to type that in, and then I'm going to type in this directory, etc, which is where all configuration files end up somewhere in there, Avahi services. I'm going to call it multiple.service. Now this isn't going to work, and hopefully you can spot why, because I didn't put sudo there. Okay, if I pressed enter it wouldn't have worked, but if I press that and type ls, you can see that that file which was there before is no longer there. It's been moved to that, and by specifying a file name here, it's been renamed as this file. And then all that's left to do to make my changes take effect is to type in reboot. Oh no, yet again I've fallen foul of that super user issue, so remember, don't use sudo all the time, but when we're doing these kind of things, administrative things, we might need to use it. We've got a few commands for the power and the Pi. If we do sudo reboot, that will switch it off and then switch it on again. It'll take a few moments. If we do sudo halt, that will shut it down. And there are a few other options as well. It's important that we use this technique, or another one from the graphical interface, to make sure that we always power down our Pi and we never just disconnect the power, as that can damage the memory card. So let's restart, and then we'll do some testing. Or we could try and do it correctly, which was sudo reboot. We can use a bit of software called VNC Viewer to connect to our Raspberry Pi from a Windows machine. So in the VNC server box, we type in the name of our Raspberry Pi. So mine was Raspberry Pi-00. I then put a .local. Now that's going to give it the name of the Pi and find it, but then I need to tell it what port on the Pi to connect to. And they should always be the same for your setup. It should be 5901. Press enter. We might get a security warning which hasn't popped up this time. Just click on OK. svc-pi, the password we set up earlier, and then we've got our Pi. Now it's not going to quite fit in my screen here, but now I can see my Pi desktop in my Windows machine. I can control it, I can do stuff, I can launch Python. It's nice and responsive. I can do most things on my Raspberry Pi through this. The one thing I haven't shown you that we can do is about how to shut down your Raspberry Pi. So from here we can click on the little bird icon, we can log out, this message appears, and we can log that out. Okay. The other thing we can do is from here we can go into LX terminal. That will bring this screen up, and we can do sudo shutdown, or even sudo halt would be quicker, and that will shut my Raspberry Pi down. So there we go.